Hi, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss, and I can't wait to talk fantasy basketball with you tonight. Ask me questions, have fun. Ask me non-basketball questions. I don't care. As long as it's sports related, you know what? Entertainment related. I don't care. Ross the Boss will answer anything you want. I'm here to answer questions, but we'll first talk about the biggest story right now in basketball is James Harden going to the Brooklyn Nets. And what's that mean to basketball? I feel, this is my opinion, I feel now the Nets are like the enemy now. They're like the dark side. They wear black. They're not well liked anymore. It's like a dream team. Irving's coming back tomorrow. Kyrie was interviewed today. I saw the interview. He's excited to come back. He was actually asking questions from the press. He did like a half-hour press. The most I've ever seen him talk in my life was today. And I think he's pumped up too. So you got Harden, you got Irving, and you got Durant all on the same team. You could put Ross the Boss on that team, and they'll still win by 10 points. Anybody in the East, they played Milwaukee like was it yesterday or the day before, and that was without Irving, and they still beat them. I mean, this team is a team to worry about. Harden's having triple doubles. He'll lose that baby weight that he has right now that everybody's making fun of. That will be gone by, well, let's say February. It's like kind of going on a date with a girl and you don't want to date her anymore. So you gain weight, you grow a beard, you have your hair long. But as soon as she breaks up with you, you lose the weight, your hair's shorter, your beard's trimmed, you're ready for action. That's how I feel James Harden is. What does everybody else think? Does everybody like the Harden trade? Do they feel it's a good thing for the NBA Basketball Association to have? I like it. I can't wait to see the Nets play the Lakers in the championship. It's like the good guys with King James versus the evil guys with Durant. I mean, I feel it's going to be a really good NBA final this year and hope you do too. I have a question. It's some bad to the bone. Casey Scheinfeld. All right, boss. What is the best advice you can give a newcomer for fantasy basketball? The best advice I can give you is watch the games, keep track of the players you have on your team, but go to the waiver wire every day. Take a look what's going on in the league. Watch the show on ESPN, The Jump. It's an hour show about basketball. It's on ESPN every day. If you watch that show and you know what's going on in basketball with injuries, you know what's going on with injuries, what players hot, what players not, that can help you tremendously. You got to be a fan of basketball to be good in fantasy basketball. So repeat after me. I will watch basketball when I have time to. That will make you a great fantasy player. So you know what's going on in the league. If you don't watch, you're not going to win. I should do a commercial for the NBA actually for that. But you know what? That's a great question, Casey. But the best thing to do is just get in the league, start playing. And you know what? If you do that, I think you can actually figure it out for your own. It's really not that hard. You just got to know the categories. You got to know the players. And you got to know like who to trade for, who to drop. It's pretty easy. If you watch our show, that's a great way to do it also. You know what I mean? You can watch our show and we'll teach you how to be a monster fantasy expert and you'll win your league. I mean, so many people have come up to me and said, Ross, the boss, thank you. And so for what? And he said, for helping me win my league. And I said, that's great. But I've got another question. This is from Cleveland, Ohio. Dr. Dan Ratner is asking a question. In NBA history, who do you have been the best basketball player? In NBA history, who's the best fantasy basketball player who I think would be the best? I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen this guy's stats, but I would have to say Wilt Chamberlain for field goal percentage, points, rebounds, block shots. I don't know if he ever passed the ball, but it doesn't matter. But Wilt Chamberlain, I think, is the best fantasy basketball player ever in NBA history. So if I had a chance to do it all over again and have a time machine and take me back to the 60s and 70s, I would pick Wilt Chamberlain as my first pick in every fantasy basketball draft imaginable. But that's a great question. It's not Michael Jordan. Again, I think Michael Jordan's the GOAT. People say, oh, Ross, it's Bill Russell. He's won 12 championships. He's the most successful basketball player, not the greatest of all time. The greatest of all time is somebody that actually best defense. He created his own brands. He reinvented the game. That's Michael Jordan. So stop bringing up Bill Russell. You know who I'm talking to. But that was a good question. We got in Party Marty's asked me a question. Party Marty does a show with me about hockey. If you haven't seen it, please go back and look at it. He's Mr. Irish Curve Bombs. He does about 10, 12 a night. It's great. We know hockey. We love hockey. What's your team to win this year? His question is, he's asking me, what team do I like to win this year? I picked in our show, I picked the Nets. Everybody was picking the Lakers. Everybody was saying the Lakers. Ross the Boss said the Nets. That's before the Harden trade. I loved Irving and Durant on the same team. Now I got Harden on the team. I still like the Nets. I think the Nets, even people say it's like a year away because they haven't played together that long. It doesn't matter. These guys are great players. They're gonna be great together. I feel the Nets are gonna win the championship, even though the Lakers are the heavy favorites. Heavy. But I like the Nets in, let's say, 6. I say it goes 6 or 7 games, but I like the Nets. Party Marty, that's a great question. But, let's talk about, if we want to talk about more about the NBA, one of my favorite players got hurt a couple days ago is CJ McCollum. And that was like a domino effect in Portland. I mean, you got their centers. Nurkic's hurt. They got a lot of people that are hurt on that team. But with CJ going down, now you got to recruit and you got to put on your team is Derrick Jones Jr. You're saying, Ross, who's Derrick Jones Jr.? This guy loves, if he gets playing time, he's like 4 or 5 steals a night. Now he got 30 minutes the other night. He had 5 rebounds, 5 points, but he had like 4 steals and he had like 3 block shots. I mean, he's a great defensive player. You should pick him up. Derrick Jones Jr. It's a good pickup right now. McCollum's out for 4 weeks. And then Cantor is another good pickup too. He's Mr. Double-Double. He's going to be starting for the next 8 weeks. Cantor's a good one. We got another question. Dr. Dan Ratner. He's from Cleveland, Ohio. Who is one of the most underrated players in fantasy basketball? I've been seeing this guy for a long time. He's available in a lot of leagues. He has my favorite name in basketball right now. His name's Shake, like milkshake. Shake Milton. Shake Milton plays for the Sixers, and the Sixers coach, Doc, loves rotating point guards, and Shake plays point guard. So last game he played 30 minutes, had 20 points. He had 3 steals. He had like 6 rebounds. I love Shake Milton. I feel he's very underrated. He's available in a million leagues. I believe you should pick him up now. If you play fantasy basketball, hopefully you do. But Shake Milton is my answer for that question. I like him a lot. You know what? We have a commercial break and we have a sponsor. Killcliff is our sponsor. Let's run the ad right now. Killcliff, take it away.
Coming down the runway is Killcliff, the clean energy drink. It's in a brand new can. Oh, look how the colors pop. Boom, boom. Oh, beautiful tan. The front, the back, gorgeous. Oh, and the flavor, it's still the same awesome taste. I want it in my mouth right now. Oh, so sexy. Go to killcliff.com. Oh, do it now.
I want to Killcliff right now. I love the taste when it hits my lips. It's my favorite drink. Killcliff. Buy it. It's good. No sugar. Drink it. Gives you energy. Makes you strong like Ross the Boss. So let's talk basketball. I was watching the Lakers last night. They were playing Golden State. And the Lakers were just like running away with the game. They thought they had the game won. They were up by like 15 points at one time. And then a guy named Steph Curry took over. He was popping threes from almost half court. I mean, this guy was unbelievable. And I'm not a Laker fan. I'm a Clipper fan. So that being said, I love what I saw. Steph Curry with a minute left, he popped a 3. They took the lead and the Lakers couldn't come back. King James missed some free throws. It was, I think the Lakers were shocked. I mean, they were like sleepwalking during the whole game. And Golden State, who's not got off to a great start this year, they're showing signs. Laker fan, you better be worried, Laker fan, because you know what? It's not automatic anymore. You guys will make the playoffs, but in the playoffs, we'll see what happens. I love Golden State. I love the Clippers. This is some bad to the bone. Casey Scheinfold, what is your favorite fantasy sport? is it the same as your reality sport? That's a good question. So as you guys know, I'm an avid softball player, which means I love baseball, and I do love baseball fantasy. It's one of my favorites, but my favorite fantasy is football. I like football because you know what? It's so many people play it, and there's shows about it on Sunday. I love watching it, but football's my favorite. But I love hockey. I love basketball. I love football. I love baseball. I even did auto racing fantasy at one time, which I had a good time doing back in the day when Dale Earnhardt was racing still, and it was fun. But my favorite one is football. I think it's more universal. It's played around the world. It's the most popular fantasy football. Fantasy football is the most popular sport when it comes to fantasy world. But if you haven't played hockey, which I know, Casey, you haven't played yet, this is your first time playing fantasy hockey, you're having a great time. And you're watching hockey, and you know that you're getting to know the players. You're asking me for advice, which I love. But fantasy hockey is fun also. So my answer is football. But again, please play all the sports and watch our network, because that's what we do. We talk about fantasy sports. Party Marty has a question. Who do you have winning the NBA this year? Party Marty, I told you this. It is the it's the Brooklyn Nets. I want to say the New Jersey Nets. I'm such an idiot, but it's the Brooklyn Nets. I like them a lot. They wear the black uniforms. They're like the evil empire right now, because everybody thinks when they'll bring all these stars together, like they did with Bosh and Wade and James back in Miami, they're doing the same thing again over in Brooklyn. But you know what? It's great for the game. I'm excited. It makes you hate a team because they're so stacked. But Marty, Brooklyn Nets, baby, you take the Brooklyn Nets this year to win it, and you're in great shape. I like them a lot. So the Lakers, I loved how they lost last night. It was the best, because they're not going to lose too many games, especially like they did last night, because they're all the Laker fans. Oh, we have this game won. My buddies were texting me saying, "Oh, you turn on the Laker game, you should see a real winning team." I turn it on, and then as soon as they lost, I text all my friends back, and I said, I question mark, like, what happened? And they all wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the night or even today. But oh well. We got a question. Dr. Dan Ratner, he's from Cleveland, Ohio. Do you draft players based on teams and root for in real life? Absolutely not. Clipper fan. I don't have one Clipper on my team. I don't draft. I never ever been biased because of players on certain teams. I could care less. I pick players because the best players available. You should take the best player available when you draft. Who cares if you're a fan of the Lakers and you don't like the Clippers and Kawhi's available and he's the best player there? You take Kawhi Leonard, and you can't worry about your allegiance to your certain team. You're not going to win a fantasy league if you do that. It's a huge mistake. I've seen it done a million times, and those guys don't win. They take players like from the Raiders, I'm talking about football, but they take players from their favorite team. And you know what happens is they don't win because they're just taking players because their allegiance is to that team. So the answer to your question is you can't have any bias at all. But that's a good question, and I lecture people on that all the time. So we got another Party Marty. How many games have you been to? NBA games? That's a great question. So if you go to my Instagram, Facebook, you see me in the front. I'm actually in the front court, sitting next to on the Clipper bench. And I usually go to about 5 or 6 games a year, but Ross the Boss only sits courtside. I won't sit. If people call me and say, hey, I got tickets for the game, first thing in my mouth, where are they? And they say, oh, I'm in the loge. Ross the Boss doesn't sit in the loge section. He has to be on the floor where the action is. I'm next to Floyd Mayweather. I'm next to all the celebrities because that's what Ross the Boss does. He's part of the LA celebrity life. He sits on the court for games, but usually, Marty, I like going to about 5 or 6 games a year. I don't like to overdo it. Playoffs is a whole different situation. I go to as many playoff games as I can. I love going to playoff games here in Los Angeles. And I love going to Christmas games. There's always a Christmas Day game at the Staples Center. Even if the Lakers are playing, I'll go. I love celebrating Christmas there, even though I'm Jewish. And I get to go to the Palm for dinner, and then we walk over, which is a block away, to the Staples Center, and we watch the game. It's like the greatest night ever. But that's what Ross the Boss likes to do. I have a question here. Dr. Dan Ratner, he's a Cleveland Cavs fan, everybody. Cleveland Cavs. Who the hell follows the Cleveland Cavs? They're the worst team in the league. They're actually in the playoffs. The playoffs started today. The Cleveland Cavaliers would be the 7th seed, which is unbelievable because their team is so bad. But it's season's early, so we'll see what happens in March. So don't go crazy, Dr. Dan. How valuable is Kawhi Leonard in fantasy sports? Is he top? Is he the top? No, he's not the top. Kawhi Leonard's great. He hasn't been doing the old management, like sitting every other game when it's back-to-back games. He's been playing the whole season. Kawhi's a beast, a monster. Defense, unbelievable. One of the top defensive guys in the game. Steals, blocks, rebounds, assists, scoring, field goal percentage. He's great. I love Kawhi a lot. He's a top 10 player. If you have him, you're lucky. I don't have him this year in any of my leagues, but if Kawhi keep Kawhi, I'd never trade him. I love watching him play. Paul George for the Clippers is having an unbelievable year. He signed a huge deal and he's actually playing better than Kawhi this year, which is hard for me to say. Paul George is unbelievable. I mean, he's having the best year of his life and the Clippers are winning. They look good. I mean, Patrick Beverley's playing well. I mean, the whole team is playing great. I mean, the Clippers are probably if I had to rate them, Lakers Clippers are like 1-2 when it comes to like teams in the West right now. Sorry, Portland. Sorry, Golden State. Sorry, Phoenix. But the season's long. It's going to be great. We got another question here. Anthony Cruz, what should I do with Karis Levert? He might be out for 6 to 8 weeks. I got news on that. Place in the IR or drop. First of all, he might be back sooner than later. Just so you know what happened was he was part of the trade for Harden. He went to Indiana. So when you go to a team, you got to take a physical. And that physical it's a real physical. It's not like cough and do the ear thing. It's a real physical. It's not like the Dr. Dan physical BS thing. This is a real physical. So they looked at his liver and they noticed there was something wasn't right. And they found out that if they did not catch this because he didn't take this physical, he could have really had some damage and he could have died. So basically for him being traded actually saved his life because of this physical. So he is not playing right now. He's getting treatment for what he has. The treatment's going unbelievable well. So they say he can be back in a few weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks, not the 6 to 8. So the time span could be a lot shorter. And you put him on IR, you don't drop him unless you don't drop him. There's nothing. I'm not going to say anything else. Don't drop him. He'll be back sooner than later. But because of that trade, his life was saved. And the other thing was, I thought the rule was if you don't pass the physical, all the deals are voided. So I'm surprised that the Harden trade's not voided. Why isn't it voided? I'm because the player they traded for is not physically fit. So shouldn't that trade not be good? I mean, isn't that like the first rule of like the reason they had the physical is to make sure these guys are sound? Well, obviously the commissioner, Silver, wants the trade to happen because he knows it's good for the NBA. So that all being said, why even do the physical? But it's nice they did it. I'm happy that Levert is going to be good. And that was a great question, Anthony Cruz. Anthony Cruz, you have another question. Darius Garland, point guard for Cleveland, looks to be coming back. He is coming back very soon. Yes, I knew that. He started the season so hot. Should I pick him up? Yes, pick him up immediately. Darius Garland, I love this kid. He went to Vanderbilt, I believe. He's actually a great pickup. I can't believe he's available in your league. Pick him up immediately. Nothing else said, but that's a great that's a great question. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, whatever you want. We're on every platform. Follow us, MFSN. Follow us, and also if you like what you're watching right now, you better press subscribe. You better press the like. Press like, because I think YouTube follows that stuff, and I need you to press like. So press like right now. it's important. And press subscribe, of course. I hope you guys have subscribed. But follow us on social media. We always have fun games and giveaways, and we're giving away trips and all that stuff. So make sure you follow us. It's all good. We're getting a question from Dr. Dan Ratner. How many fantasy sports championships have you won? Well, Ross the Boss has a lot of championships here. I have I got the championship. I won this in Vegas for having the best fantasy sports team actually in the country. Got this right here. But in all seriousness, I would say it's probably in the 50s or 60s. I have a lot of championships, 50s, 60s. I got to look at my Yahoo. I got to look at my other leagues, but I would say at least 50 or 60 championships in all my leagues put together. But I'm very, very aggressive when it comes to fantasy sports. I like to win. I'm not here to have fun. I'm a winner. If you want to be a winner, I hope you guys are subscribed and follow and be part of my League of Champions. Because if you don't, you're not going to win your league. You gotta join right now and be part of Ross the Boss League of Champions, because that will win you the league no matter what. Don't listen to the other guys. They have no idea what they're talking about. You listen to Ross the Boss. I'll win you the league. I'll tell you how to do it. Easy, fun. And when you're a winner, you walk around with some pride. It's all good. Let's talk about about the NBA and what's going on. Joel Embiid's hurt, actually. Joel Embiid got hurt, and now you're saying, Ross, I have Joel Embiid. What do I do? Who do I pick up? Don't pick up Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard went up like 20% the past couple of days because of the news about Embiid. I don't think it's out that long, so Embiid owners don't go crazy on me. But Dwight Howard is not having the greatest year. He's missing free throws again. He's not getting points. He's having okay rebounds, but overall, he's not the player they used to be. So don't go out and pick him up so quickly. We got a question from Al Martin. What do you say to people who think Russell Westbrook is overrated in fantasy? Well, you're talking to one of the owners of Russell Westbrook right here. Russell Westbrook, a guy that averaged triple doubles. Put that in your mind. He averaged that. So double figures in points, double figures in rebounds, double figures in assists. This guy averaged that during the season, which is unbelievable. I mean, that's a stat that not many players have done. But that being said, the reason people don't like Westbrook is because of field goal percentage. And people say he kills me. He takes too many shots. He misses too many shots, and he has too many turnovers. Too many turnovers too. I'll take that, and I'll take Westbrook any day. I love this kid. I love the categories he gets. And you know what? He's totally worth the cost in fantasy. I don't care what they have to say about Russell Westbrook, but he's not overrated. Just look at his stats. That will speak for itself. And again, he's not like a top 10 pick in fantasy. So it's not like you're getting him in the first round. As a guy, Westbrook usually goes around in the third or fourth round. If you take him higher than that, it's a little too high for him. There's better players than him in the league, but I love him. He went to UCLA. He's a Pac-12 player. So I like him more. He's from Los Angeles, in high school out here. Great player, good guy. Met him a few times. But we got another question from Clark Kent. I wonder if he's related to Superman. Maybe. Do you believe in owning specialists? So like specialists, like guys that do blocks and steals and threes. If so, how many? I like guys that are well-rounded. I like guys that have like a whole game, just not one aspect to it, because that's going to hurt you in the long run. But again, if a guy like JJ Redick, who's like a sniper, who loves shooting threes, who's actually hot, cold, but let's say JJ Redick, who's just a Mr. Three guy. Threes are good for points. They're good for they're good for 3-pointers, of course, but they're also, field goal percentage too. If a guy's a good 3-point shooter, your field goal percentage goes up. So yeah, I like having a couple guys that are known for 3-pointers, especially Steph Curry. If you can get Steph Curry, he's like the number one guy for 3-pointers. So having him on your team's a huge advantage. But the answer is no. I don't like drafting specialty guys for blocks and one category guys. It's not a good idea. So my answer is no. on that. And you know who's leading the league in assists this year? It's not a point guard. It's not a shooting guard. It's not a power forward. It's not a small forward. It's a center. It's Jokic for Denver. He's the leading assist leader for the NBA right now. So if the season stopped right now, a center is the leader in assists, which is unbelievable. I would never predict that. Would you ever predict that? I don't think so. Lee Silverman. I love this kid. He's from Phoenix, Arizona State alumnus. He's from Brooklyn, actually, originally. I love Lee Silverman. He's one of my favorite guys. I have Julius Randle, plays for the Knicks. Of course he has him. I got offered Paul George. Would you take this? I would take that deal in a New York minute, Lee. You take Paul George. If you're offered Paul George for Julius Randle, you could say, oh, Ross, but Julius has better stats. I don't care. Paul George in the long run is going to have a better stats. And you know what? He's a guy that can win you the league. I mean, he's that good. But they're both really good players. You're lucky to have Julius Randle this year. I liked him a lot during the draft. I didn't get him. I got him in a couple leagues, but I didn't get him in a few leagues either. But you know what? You trade for Paul George immediately. That's a no-brainer. That's Ross the Boss talking. And you know how much I love the Clippers. I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, Lee. I'm saying that because he's a better player. Ben Franklin it's Bob Franklin. I'm teasing. Who can replace Nurkic? So Nurkic went down for Portland. He's out between like 4 to 8, let's say 2 months. So Enes Kanter is being picked up like crazy on the waiver wires. Like he's his stock has gone up tremendously. Last game he played like 30 minutes. He had a double-double. Enes Kanter is the big pickup. I also like Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood is another guy that's going to get some more playing time. And I mentioned Derek Jones earlier, but Enes Kanter is the obvious choice that you should pick up if you need some rebounds and points, which is a great idea right now if you need it. But if you don't need it, don't pick them up, obviously. So let's talk about Lee just asked a question. Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns real quick. The Phoenix Suns were in the bubble last year. They were 8-0 in the bubble, and then they were eliminated from the playoffs. They went 8-0, and they didn't make the play. They didn't move on to the next round because they were so far behind during the regular season. So this year they added Chris Paul. They added Johnson, who's having a great year. They have Booker, who I love a lot. They got their center back, who was hurt last year. So they got their whole team back. They're playing great basketball. And I feel Phoenix will be like a 3 or 4 seed this year. I like Phoenix a lot, especially with Chris Paul on that team. But you know what? I was thinking about this earlier with COVID. COVID's like changed the game. This year in basketball, there's so many like lopsided scores. And all these players have to sit out because of COVID and because of the contact and this and that. And I don't know how, if you're a bettor in basketball, there's no way you can figure out who to bet each game because the point spreads don't mean anything. They're blowouts. The Charlotte Hornets, who like predicted come in like last or has like a 4-game winning streak. So basketball is unpredictable. So good luck betting basketball. Don't bet it this year. Don't bet it. Make any bets. You're not going to do anything. So we got a question from Matt Kleiman. He's one of the best softball pitchers here in Los Angeles. He's won many championships. This guy's for real. Matt Kleiman. He's not a joke. To give yourself the best chance for success, what is the most important information for drafting a non-marquee player? So basically he's asking, how do I get my information for a player that's not in the news? You know, let me just throw a player out there like, let's say Desmond Green for Golden State. I'll just say his name. I just saw a highlight for him. So let's say a player that's not in the news, that's not getting a lot of press, that's not really lighting up the scoring sheet. What do I do? So I look at what he's doing this year, how much playing time he's getting. Playing time is the most important thing in basketball. If they're not getting playing time, they're not going to score. It's like what Wayne Gretzky said, if you don't shoot, you don't score. So you got to make sure your player that's riding the bench, like Joe Harris for Brooklyn, let's say, who's like, plays guard for the Brooklyn Nets. and he has to play guard, with the three main guys. So he's not marquee, but this guy's a sniper. This guy will shoot from anywhere on the court, and he'll be open because they'll double team Durant and they'll give it to Harris, and he'll have some 20-point games. So you got to know how much playing time each player gets. That's the most important thing I can tell you for non-marquee guys. And you look at the stat sheet. It's that easy. So there you go. I answered your question for you. Patrick Donovan. Ooh, Patrick Donovan was an all-Canadian football player. This guy was a beast at linebacker. He was unbelievable. He's coaching over Windsor right now. He's one of my favorite guys. Should I trade Kyrie Irving? If so, should I trade him and get where it makes sense? So I don't know your team. So I don't know if you need rebounds, assists, block shots. But let's all that saying, Kyrie Irving, he plays tomorrow. Kyrie's playing tomorrow. He was the press conference. He was great. He's playing tomorrow for the Nets. We'll see Durant, Harden, and Irving tomorrow. I'm excited to watch that. You don't trade Kyrie Irving. Absolutely not. Unless somebody offers you like Luka Doncic, or they offer you some crazy deal that makes sense, then you can trade him. But keep Kyrie. He's still one of the best guards in the game. He's going to score 20, 30 points a game. All those guys are going to take off. Now, all the guys on Brooklyn they'll get like 25, 30 points a game. And you'll see like Deandre Jordan, the center, he'll get like 10, 15 rebounds a game because he'll get all the rebounds when these guys miss shots. But it's going to be fun to watch. They'll score about 130 points a game. It's going to be running guns. It's going to be the best. The answer to your question is you hold on to Kyrie Irving. You don't trade him. Are you out of your mind? Jennifer is asking me a question. I don't know where you're from, but we'll say Jennifer from the United States. What do you think is likely to get injured? Wait, what player do you think is likely to get injured that isn't yet? So a lot of injuries this year. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. I mean, we got John Wall's hurt, Westbrook's hurt, Embiid's hurt. We got CJ McCollum's hurt. I don't wish anybody getting hurt, but I always look at the older players. I mean, I think youth kind of can play on this crazy schedule. I get worried about the guys like Chris Paul, the JJ Redicks. I worry about those type of guys because they're older. Their bodies need more time to rest. I don't want to say it, but I will. Anthony Davis, I'm worried about him a lot. I feel he gets hurt every year. I think he can get hurt maybe again this year. I don't wish this on him. Please don't say I hate you because you said Anthony Davis. I'm not wishing it. So I'm going to tap on some wood right now. I just did. So I would be worried about Anthony Davis. If I had him in a team, I would try to trade him right now. I feel that he gets hurt every year and he's older. And there you go. LeBron takes care of his body like Ross the Boss, so I don't think he'll get hurt. He loves the game, and even if he's hurt, he'll still play. He doesn't care. But again, please don't get mad at me for saying those names. Nick is asking a question. Nick, who is losing playing time right now that concerns you? So, I was concerned about Deandre Jordan beginning of the year. He was averaging like 17 minutes a game, and that's before the Harden trade. And then, they traded away Allen, who was the center for Brooklyn. He went to Cleveland, and he was their starting center, and DeAndre was getting like 17 points. He was getting 17 minutes a game. Now DeAndre's back with Brooklyn, as we know. He's still playing. He's not traded. He's staying there. So DeAndre was somebody I was worried about with playing time. I actually dropped him, and I lost him. Somebody else picked him up. But he's the one that became the big winner on this whole thing. I think him and John Wall. John Wall hasn't played yet, but John Wall is somebody that's going to carry Houston now. He'll be the big point scorer. If you have John Wall or you want John Wall, you should get him now before he starts playing. He should be back this week. But again, John Wall is somebody that will get a lot more playing time now with Harden gone. Like 35, 40 minutes a game. You'll see a lot. Who should I drop for Garland? My options are Tyrese Jones. I love Tyrese Jones, and Danny Green. Well, as we know, John Morant's back for Memphis. So Tyrese Jones is whole thing there in Memphis is not really going to work out anymore for him. He's not going to get the playing time. And Danny Green's a guy that he loves the three, but he's so cold and oh God, that's a great question. I would probably drop Danny Green. Danny Green's good for threes, but he's like one game he has like 20 points and then one game he has like 10 points or 5 points. So that's who I would drop. I like Terrius Jones a lot too, but I'm worried about him because John Morant is back. He came back this week and he's one of my favorite players to watch in the league. If you guys don't know who he is, watch the Memphis Grizzlies play. You'll see a great player on him. He's unbelievable. I mean, this guy, and if you collect sports cards, get his rookie card now. It's cost. I'll tell you how much his card is worth. It's worth about $600 right now, but by the end of the summer, it should be up to like $2,000. So if you collect sports cards, get John Morant immediately. He's undervalued. Sam, would you trade Nurkic for Pastrami? Yes, absolutely. I would drop Nurkic actually if I had him. I never had him in any league, but Nurkic his value is 0. He's not coming back for 2 months. I guess you can stash him in IR, but yeah, I love a hot pastrami sandwich, especially from Nate Now's. It's one of my favorite restaurants in Los Angeles. I take it to go all the time, but that's a good question. I like that, Sam. It's a good one. We got it. Oh, good. So again, I'm reminding you guys, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We got it. MFSN. And if you're watching right now, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you press like, because the algorithm for YouTube, when you press like, it like does this weird thing. I don't know what it does, but it makes us look cool. So press like immediately, and also subscribe. Follow us on everything. We give away cars. We give away trips. We're unbelievable here. Our network is getting bigger and bigger, but you know what? I need you guys to subscribe right now. Press the subscribe button. There you go. Stacy's asking me a question. Where does LeBron rank in the all-time great discussion? So people love talking about GOATs. So they always ask me, Ross the Boss, who do you think the GOAT is? So I said it earlier. It's not really a big discussion for me. I feel Michael Jordan is the GOAT. But then if I had to think of like the second tier of GOATs, LeBron, Kobe, I mean, I would maybe put Larry Bird in there and Magic Johnson. I love those guys. I mean, because I watched those guys when I was a kid play and they were unbelievable. But again, LeBron is in there. I have him in the same section as Kobe, but Jordan's up here. So Jordan's my GOAT, but that's a great question. People love debating it. And they always bring up Bill Russell, which gets me mad. Again, Bill Russell is not even in the GOAT discussion. He's the most successful basketball player. He's won 2 NCAA championships and he's won 12 NBA championships in 13 years, which is an unbelievable thing. I mean, Jordan's only won 6 NBA championships. But that all being said, he's not the GOAT. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. Everybody wears Air Jordans. I mean, it's $1 billion business. Ross the Boss even has a pair. So Stacy, thanks for that question. But if people say it's not Jordan, you call me and I'll straighten them out because it's Michael Jordan. We know that. We got a question from Anthony from New Jersey. I think everybody from New Jersey is named Anthony. Did you guys think that? It's like, hey, what's going on? What exit are you from? What's your name? Hey, it's Anthony. I think you call me Tony. What is the bubble? So that's a great question. So the bubble, people ask me that too. It's funny you said that, Anthony. So the bubble is something that was invented last season, and they played all the games in Florida last year. After the season was suspended, I don't know if you guys remember this. They suspended the season. There was no games for like 2 months. I mean, I was watching horse competitions. That's what Ross the Boss was down to. I mean, it was sad. They had the bubble, so they invited most of the teams, except for like the teams that had really bad records. They didn't show up, but they invited most of the teams to the bubble, and no one else was really allowed in except some media. Family wasn't allowed in. Players and coaches. COVID tested every day. It was a great system. No one got COVID. It was a perfect system. Some people jumped the fence and they were penalized. They couldn't play for a couple of weeks. But the bubble it's basically an area, like let's say a hotel that is restricted where only players can be at, so no one else can contract or get the COVID-19 in this space. So it's a very controlled environment. It's a very controlled environment. And you know what? It worked, and they're going to do it again. I'm sure during the playoffs. They have to. There's no way they can't, especially what's going on right now. I'm worried about the season, but I don't think it will be suspended. You heard it from me first. We got a question from Johnny. If I want to trade for for two players, CAT, for Cat, who's the Cat with two players, what level players does it have to be? So Cat, I'm trying to think what those initials stand for. Cat. I'm not quite sure who Cat is. Johnny, can you come back to me and tell me who Cat, K-A-T? It's they're all capped up. I'm trying to think what player that is. My mind is trying to think really quick. I'm on the spot here. I don't know who it is. But you know what, Johnny? Type up real quick, K-A-T. Give me the name of that person, and I'll tell you what you should do, because I'm Ross the Boss, and I know everything about fantasy sports, especially basketball. But I want to see – I also have to know your roster too, what you're giving up and what you're getting. I'm trying to think what Cat is. Now you got me on a brain teaser, and I'm going to go crazy now. So let's talk basketball. Another unbelievable story that's going on right now is the Celtics are without Jason Tatum. He has COVID. He has COVID, but he supposed to come back on Friday night. The Celtics, a lot of people counted the Celtics out this year. I haven't. I like their team a lot. I think they have I love Smart. I love Tatum. I mean, I think he's like 22 years old, and he's just like, he's one of the best players in the league. I mean, this guy, if I was starting a team, he'd be like one of the first guys I would take, just because of his age and how he's every year he gets better and better. But a team in the East that I like a lot that no one's talking about is the Boston Celtics. I don't think they have, and Kemba Walker just came back. So watch out for the Celtics, everybody. You heard it from me first, Ross the Boss. Oh, okay, yeah, Karl Anthony it's not Thomas, it's Karl Anthony Towns. So I should have known that, actually. So I actually interviewed him before. So Karl Anthony Towns, horrible offseason. His mom, who has loved in Minnesota, came to all his games. She passed away during the offseason. He's been going through a lot. I mean, I feel bad for this kid. Horrible offseason. He's lost some people from COVID. He's been good, but you keep Karl Anthony Towns. Don't trade him for anybody. He's one of the top 5 players in fantasy. You keep this guy. He loves blocks. He loves points. He loves rebounds. He broke his wrist, which is a horrible injury. But unless you're getting like Luka, if you're better getting Luka, you better be getting Lillard. You better be getting Steph Curry. You better be getting one of these top tier players for Karl Anthony Towns. If you're not, don't trade him. If it's like two like good players, like let's say like Booker for Phoenix, who is a great scorer, but he does nothing else basically. And let's say, Batum for the Clippers or something. Don't trade him. Keep Karl Anthony Towns. I love him. Everybody loves him. Justin, which rookie will you have the biggest second half? So that's a great question, Justin. So with rookies, this draft for the NBA this year, they said it was one of the weakest drafts in like the past 20 years. I mean, for talent. I mean, and I watched it. LaMelo, I love LaMelo. I have him in my league. He had a triple-double already this year. I love him a lot. I love Williams for the Bulls, Patrick Williams, but I feel that LaMelo, I think Ball is going to be rookie of the year, and I think he'll have the best second half. I think he'll get better and better every game. I mean, Anthony Edwards from Minnesota I like a lot, but again, if I had to pick one player, it's Ball for Charlotte. I feel he's just every game. I watch him play. He's going to get more playing time too. He's so good. So good. And I never was a fan of his. He didn't really play college at all. He was like kicked out. But I mean, he's the real deal. And you know what? You have to take him seriously this year. So that's a great question. So I was talking about the Celtics. Kemba Walker's back. If you're a Celtic fan, you got a lot to have. You're going to have a great season this year. I just don't feel that I like the Atlanta Hawks beginning of the year. Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young is a huge disappointment fantasy wise. I mean, he's having good assists, but he's not scoring like he used to. He's missed his field goal percentage is awful. His value is down. So if you want Trae Young and you can there's something to trade him for, go get Trae Young. I think he's not a rookie, but I think you should pick up Trae Young right now. His value is really low, and it's a great time to pick him up. But that's coming from Ross the Boss, and I'm usually right. Well, guys, thanks for watching. I'm Ross the Boss. Follow MSFN, subscribe, follow us on all the social medias. You guys know what they are: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everything. Follow us on that. I'm going to see you next week. Keep the questions rolling. I'll answer more. If you think of more questions in the middle of the night, Ross the Boss is here for you. But I'm Ross the Boss, and I love talking fantasy basketball with you, cowboy.
We're gonna set the internet on